Let me tell you, I think this was the hardest thing I've ever done for a video. And so while it was a lot of fun and I'm so excited for this to finally come out, man, this was difficult because I really wanted to talk about these. Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, I am finally, after what feels like forever, doing this video where I decided to secretly read some favorite books from some booktube friends of mine and not tell them or literally anybody. The only people who even knew something was happening, as I mentioned on Patreon, I was doing this as a project, but they have no idea what the books are, who the people are, nor until they see this do the people in question. And so this was so difficult, especially sometimes talking to these people and then like, oh, what are you reading while I'm reading the book or chatting about books or this. And so this was really difficult. I started doing booktube content and stuff like that because I just wanted to talk to people about books. So reading books of people that I know and want to talk to about and then not doing it was difficult. However, I don't know. This was also a lot of fun and turned out better than I expected, to be honest. So I was a little bit nervous that I'd end up being like, oh yeah, I didn't like this, didn't like that, but I enjoyed everything. So everything was at least 4 stars or above, which was surprising and pretty happy with. But with no further ado, let's jump in. So starting with the one I was actually the most nervous about and what may have been my favorite from the bunch is one of books with Genghis Khan. Ben's favorites is The Magicians by Lev Grossman. And I know he's recommended this book to several people. He did not recommend this book to me, I think because he didn't think I was going to like it. I didn't think I was going to like it either. I was very nervous, but I'm like, you know what? I've been kind of curious, and this was probably the only time I was actually going to finally get to this book and read this book. And I feel like the big reason that I had just not is because I'd always heard this sold as Harry Potter for adults. And I understand the reason that it's sold that way, but I also think it's not really doing the book a lot of justice because I would say The Magicians is more like the book that's for the kids who were bitter that they never got their like Hogwarts letter, that type of thing. And I did film secret reviews for all of these books as well, so I'll note that there'll be reviews in the next couple of weeks coming out for all of these as well. But it's more like the kind of like biting, sarcastic, more real take. And specifically, it's about a character who ends up actually getting the invite to the magical school after all, and it's not what he thought, and in some ways it doesn't make things better for him. And so it's that kind of like biting satire, but also really, really good look. And I feel like a lot of people would identify with this a lot more than the more like happy, nostalgic kind of things like this. So I really love this. I thought this was brilliant and surprised the heck out of me that I did. Also, I really want to continue, but I wanted to wait until this video came out before reading more in this series. So that was the other thing. This was the first one I did because I was the most nervous, and I was just like, let's get it out of the way. But I highly recommend this just for anybody who has like interest in seeing the other side of the coin. Like, what if you do get picked for the magic school, but it's not what you thought? It is kind of the more adult, biting version of not just like Harry Potter, but a lot of the ideas of going off into a fantasy world. And this is for the kids who always were just maybe just a little bit bitter that they never got to go into the fantasy portal or go to the fantasy school, that type of thing. Also definitely for like the former gifted kid group of people who fit those stereotypes. I feel like you're gonna like a lot here. So yeah, I'll definitely talk more about it, but this worked out so well. So thanks, Ben, for being the one who kept me to read it, even though you didn't know that was happening. And then next up, the one that I did was The West Passage by Jared Pekacek, and this was for Rabin from Only the Best Fantasy Novels. And I had kind of seen this around, and very specifically, Rabin is one of the reasons why I ended up doing this video in general as well, because I actually happened to have a copy of Magicians that I had. The one I originally read this, I came across this after reading it. I read a copy from my library, but he did a video about just some like more unique books, and I was kind of curious about all of them. But again, I end up usually with stuff like this, I'm like, oh, I'll put it on my list, and I never get to it, or it takes me absolutely forever. So it's another reason I'm like, you know what, let's do it, because I was really curious to try, because I know that he really, really enjoyed this book. And this was such an odd but enjoyable experience. This is really one of those books where it's more about the atmosphere and the setting itself being sort of a character than anything else that is happening. And it's just kind of one you have to jump in to find out. I know it's supposed to be somewhat inspired by Gormenghast, which again reminds me that I also need to get to Gormenghast and give that a try. Reminded me a little bit of Mordu by Alex Phoebe as well, but I thought this was a lot better than Mordu because I didn't care for Mordu very much. But it's following some characters who are in this just very strange type of like city-sized castle. There's all sorts of just weird oddities and things going on, and you have the different color levels and the different things happening, and it's just a wild ride. I think you kind of have to experience. If you look sort of closely at the cover too, there's just so many odd miscellaneous things going on, which also I think is a really good draw. But this is definitely one of those books. I did talk more details specifically when I did the review, but it's one of those ones I feel like you just sort of have to try and see if you vibe with or not, because it is more an experiential book. It's not really going to be character or plot driven. It's more like it's the setting. It's just immersing yourself. I ended up doing a bit of immersion reading, which I don't do often, but the narrator for this was Steve West, and so I'm like, oh, you know what? I'll try a little bit of that, and I think that worked really well for me because it's really just getting in there, focusing as much as possible, and just getting into the setting. It's that type of book that I think works really well for that. So another one that I really wasn't sure on how I would feel, but I ended up enjoying quite a bit. So thanks, Rabin, for that one. So then next up, we have, and the true reason, which I'll mention at this point, I'm I'm having Fina on my live show, Book Chats and Beyond, which you can check out, which will be coming on Tuesday night is when that's going to be live. So the day after this comes out. And I had planned on having her a little bit sooner, but I wanted to make sure that I finished one of her favorites, Green Rider by Kristen Britton, first. And so I kept putting it off and kind of making excuses as to why I couldn't have her on quite yet without telling her, because I didn't want her to know. And this is another one that I've gone back and forth, because this was on my list of things I was very curious to try for a while. And then from things that I'd heard, I was kind of convinced that I maybe wouldn't end up liking it. But I'm like, you know what? I am going to try it eventually. It's in that like sort of 90s adjacent type of fantasy, and it's just something usually that does work well for me. But I was a little bit more nervous after Valdemar started really promising, and that didn't go as well. But I did finally try this, and I also really quite enjoyed this. This does absolutely remind me of Valdemar by Mercedes Lackey, especially with the first book. They both are involving like royal messengers that have like special horses that are very intelligent, and the messengers have magic of some sort that can vary and that type of thing. Although character-wise, the characters are extremely different, and setting-wise, the big thing that stood out with Green Rider is there's so much more magic. There's so much more going on, and a lot of the book is also sort of like the adventure, sort of quest more type of fantasy, which is not at all what Valdemar was going for. So it actually reminded me there's a lot of like the Hobbit, Lord of the Rings type of inspiration you can definitely see, and not that things are exactly the same, but you have the main character, Kerrigan, who is trying desperately to make it to her goal, going through the forest, meeting all sorts of magical people and creatures, both good and bad, and kind of having to just fight through this whole thing. And so that's what really sucked me in, because I am a sucker for the quest trope or like kind of adventure fantasy, which I feel like you don't get as much. So just the traveling through, whether it's meeting strange people called the Berry Sisters who have magic, whether it's like these evil crab things fighting, and there's all kinds of like spider crabs, basically, that type of thing, which again, it made me think a little bit of Hobbit / Lord of the Rings. But it was just like there were so many cool fantasy elements, and that's what just the world building alone had me pulled in and curious. So I'm still being a little bit hesitant with this one. I did enjoy this again more than I thought I was going to, because I was just kind of worried that this was going to be another like just okay read for me because of some other similar things that I read. But I was really immersed, and I'm absolutely going to be continuing this series. I'm definitely not going to be caught up before the final book comes out, but I'm definitely going to be continuing, because the thing that really pulled me in with Valdemar was the world. Even though I didn't like a lot of the other things, I liked a lot of those things more here and still really liked the world. So I'm very curious to dive in more. So thank you, Fina, for this one, which I know I took way, way too long to get for, because it'd been on my list for a really long time, and specifically knowing how much you enjoyed it, I really had wanted to get to it, but I did finally do that. And finally, since I also was really curious about this one, and since she had this copy sent to me, I really wanted to get to it sooner rather than later, we have By Blood, By Salt by J.L. Autumn, which was a pick that I did for Tori from Tori Talks. And I again was really curious on this one, and I've had some interesting ones where Tori and I have sometimes different tastes, but we've had some we definitely agree on as well. But I know that she's really been loving this book, and I think it was I either won or like did really good in the Spiffbo competition, which I haven't followed nearly as much, but I'd heard a lot and was really curious to try this from hearing Tori talk about it. And then she actually had a signed copy sent to me, so I'm like, well, I really need to get to it. So I'm like, this is a good one to throw in, make sure I get to it sooner. And this one did take me a little bit to get into, I will say. This is definitely a slow burn kind of story. It's very character focused, but there's also a lot of interesting world building. But this was one, the further I got in, the more I was kind of sucked in and just curious about what was happening. So it took me a little bit to get my footing, and I will say that with this one to be aware of that. But this one is largely following a character, Azetla, who's part of a very like marginalized group of people called the Meshevi, and they're like called Jackal is kind of the slur. And there's lots of different other groups of people and things going on, but he is a really important part of a battalion of the army, despite being a part of like a hated race. And there's a lot of different scheming and things going on, but it's kind of like a slow reveal of all of the bigger picture of what's really happening as well, who the players are, what's really happening, all the while really focusing on the characters. And this is definitely, if you like just kind of going into a world, getting thrown in, and then slowly figuring it out as you go along, which I typically really do, this is one that I think is going to work out really well. And just it had a really different feel with like the cultures and the different peoples being set up, the different traditions. It's called By Blood, By Salt, which is referencing to two different groups of people. One that blood is really important to their religion, and the other one where when you swear something or make promise, it's done with salt. And there's a lot of allusions to blood and salt in different ways throughout, which I thought were really well done. Also, so it's just really interesting and very intricate world building, where different things like language and culture are really important, and there's a lot of attention paid to it as well. So it's that kind of thing where it was really fun to immerse. So I by the end too, like the ending was just top notch, and so I actually finished this like 15 minutes before filming this as well, so it's still very fresh as well. It's something I'll be very curious to see where this series goes, because it's set up quite a lot and just so many really interesting different pieces working here. So yeah, I'm excited here. I'm still gonna have to film a review for this one yet, but I'm excited to talk more about it as well. And this one again, this one I did expect at least to like. So this is the one I feel like that was the least risky out of the other ones, to be fair, but is just one where I sometimes when it's especially with this one I put more weight because Tori was specifically recommending it, but sometimes the books that are like really popular don't end up working as well for me. So there's always that chance that is this one going to work or not, and thankfully it did. It just did a lot of really interesting things. It's got the very character focused and military type of fantasy, which coming from Tori made a ton of sense, but the intricate world building, the cultures, the peoples, the language, there was just so much interesting stuff there, and that's the stuff that really had me curious. And then really compelling characters as well is definitely a plus. I think worked out really well. So overall, I should say thanks, Tori, for that pick there too. But so overall, though, those are my 4 books that I read secretly. So I'm very excited and eager to talk about all of these books now. So please, in the comments, definitely let me know if you want to chat about these, or in Discord or wherever, because I definitely will be talking to all 4 of these people more about these books now that I finally have this revealed. Just because it's been so hard keeping it a secret and not being able to really talk about these until this point. So yeah, hopefully you liked this. This was a lot of effort for one video with secretly reading 4 books over like the last couple of months, not telling anyone, but I had a lot of fun with it. I don't know if this is going to be a regular thing that I do, because again, it's kind of hard to do that also, and I'm reading books that I can't put reviews out for yet, although I'll be able to now. But this just seemed like a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing this, and I can't wait for the reviews to come out for all of these to talk more as well. So that is it for this one. Let me know your thoughts, like I said, in the comments. Excited to hear from you. Make sure to give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Check the links in the description, as always, for the Patreon if you want to support what I do, as well as the Wizardly Enclave Discord if you want to chat books, whether any of these books, other books, really anything at all. It's a lot of fun and we'd love to have you. And of course, if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe.